The video game industry today is filled with simulation titles, though at its release and to this day the concept of trying to recreate dreams hasn't been fully realized or captured so faithfully. Rewind to the late 90s and the Japanese public is gifted LSD Dream Emulator, a surreal exploration game based on the pages of the published book Lovely Sweet Dream. 10 years worth of documented dreams from author and game creator led to quite a lot of source material to choose from. So we can assume only the most fascinating and disturbing saw a digitized reimagining. Women's heads falling off and locking your controls, a stalking, world-hopping symbol of hypnagogia, and Satan himself all appear in this entirely unique title. I could go on about how strangely wonderful it is to see an elephant ascend to the heavens, and a giant baby coughing up kanji in the same game, though my focus today will be on the history and creation and smaller details that make this game even more interesting than one could gather from a casual playthrough. Like many other simulation games, the one and only goal is to simply experience this given world. It lacks even a checklist of tasks to complete. It just really is an adventure game where the player walks around and gets teleported via touching the walls, objects, or characters. There's no other interactivity, and while that sounds boring, thankfully there's enough to see and a wide enough world to explore that nothing gets dull. New NPCs appear in old locations, and one of 4 main textures overlaid to signify change in the atmosphere. A first-time player will be introduced with a regular texture set, if anything to establish a standard for how the game should look. The most interesting aspect about this game though is that even after 18 years, the public, or at least the West, still really doesn't know how the game works. We don't know how the game decides to generate its environments. Whether it be how long the player spends in each world, what they link with and when, or how they go about exploring, the game will cycle through text-based, evil, and sexual aesthetics. Kanji, also known as the static texture, sometimes encompasses models and structures on the map, which mostly reads what the object is. For example, a gigantic backwards moon symbol labels the celestial body, while other times it seems to be random, for example the baby spitting out star. The evil or downer texture gives all surroundings a sinister flair, using villainous eyes to line an entryway and jagged platforms to occupy the ground, all with a harsh color palette that looks as if it was ripped from a horror game. Finally, and in my experience the rarest texture in the game, there's the sexual set, which strangely borrows from the downer pack, perhaps meant to imply trauma had by the dreamer, but also adds real low-resolution images of Japanese women. Some are simply faces while others are body shots with blacked out eyes. These consistently frequent changing environments keep the game fresh and unpredictable, since often the worlds aren't set to simply one main texture. They mix and utilize smaller sets for a limitless, different experience for each individual playing. While Hiroko Nishikawa dreamt these visuals, Osamu Sato brought them to life with his interpretations. He's responsible for the patterns seen throughout, with his own drawings and face appearing on occasion. Now that I mention it, he's got a real knack for using his own head in the games he works on. I've also found that the fans actually believed him to be dead a while back due to a lack of updates. A mysterious creator for complex enigmas of games. Who would have thought? The actual Dream Journal by Hiroko is one of 3 products physically packaged with the game. Reading the journal itself is a great accompaniment to the game, and many are even displayed randomly via text as dreams the character had that night. Rare too are assorted clips that play once in a while when starting a new day, using unpredictable and seemingly incoherent live action footage. These are all fun and add a nice mix to the directly controlled dreams. One can even be activated by linking with the Ferris wheel that spawns in the one of many recurring locations known as Happy Town. These worlds are what the player will spawn in, though it looks different each time based on its assigned texture and jumbled assets. The locations are the only real grounded thing in this dream world, and are all interestingly connected through tunnels and displayed on this map. That is to say, if you know what you're doing, it's possible to determine the path of your dream. But what links to where geographically seems to be the only aspect with any measurable consistency. Moving on, an NPC simply known as the Gray Man is a thing of nightmares. As if there wasn't enough to be terrified of already, LSD presents this sole recurring character able to hop levels as the player does, and always surprises with his foreboding, unchanging presence. Dressed in dark colors and a featureless face, this Shadow Man can be seen as an antagonist, since he can only be ran from and must be avoided to not lose progress. He's targeted you and will always approach. Coming in contact will cause the screen to flash white, erasing the flashback option from the main menu, and in speculation, the chances for more dynamic textures. He's said to be a symbol of an evil, looming presence appearing in dreams. He can't be killed, fought, or reasoned with, so running away is the only choice that won't bring misfortune. It's also worth noting that many players report his appearing in Happy Town more than any other area in the game, an unsettling contrast to his wardrobe with the vivid colors of this fun land. Before I finish up, I want to also mention Alt-J, a fairly popular band in England, and have coincidentally just released their new 2017 album Relaxer, using artwork and screens from this game. The physical copy of the album thanks Osamu Sato, the game's producer, for the visuals, and went as far as to program a browser recreation of this entire area, with simplified controls and Easter eggs galore. Like this original, touching unique NPCs and objects will link the player out of the location, but modernized to instead show a picture of the band or send the user to one of their official music videos. The dedication to promote in a unique way and pay homage to the inspiration is clear, and it helps the experience that the music tracks are quite good too. Getting back on track to the actual game, the only real ending presented is achieved after experiencing 365 total dreams, or 1 in-game year. A live motion video is shown that supposedly brings good luck for the new year, and you're brought to day 1 to either shut the game off or begin anew. I played through 100 days, lasting up to 10 minutes each, and honestly, I've loved every second of it. Getting into the right mindset, this game is relaxing and quite hypnotizing. Accepting the limited controls and simply letting yourself get lost in these worlds, it can allow for a really immersive experience. If the thought of being immersed in this scares you, it probably should. I've gotten chills down my spine on several occasions, which rarely happens with me since I'm so desensitized from the internet. If you want a very different experience, unlike any video game before or since, LSD might just open your mind a bit, and not the drug, the game. The soundtrack, can't believe I haven't mentioned it yet, is eccentric and can be compared to a genre of music called ambient down-tempo. It's a wonderful way to tune out and focus in on a journey of self-growth, if you believe in that sort of thing. Really though, if you're curious, please search for the game and check out a Let's Play. Though, if you're even remotely interested, I recommend just closing out and trying it for yourself. You probably won't regret it. Thanks to everyone who watched to the very end. I appreciate your time in watching and supporting my own dream of having a successful YouTube channel. I'll see you all for the next one. Leave a comment to continue the discussion, and I'll happily reply to any questions you might have.